Searching for a home is daunting and you're probably frustrated. It's really tough. But look, there are certain types of homes that I would tell my clients, like, no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't buy it. My team helps about 200 families every year. I've seen thousands of homes, both as a realtor and when I was shopping for myself. And there are types of houses that I would never consider buying in Houston, Texas. These aren't rare. You will see them. And if you're not careful, you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars in mistakes that you can't undo. So stick around because I'm going to share with you the 5 types of houses that you should never buy. I hope you find value in this and it'll actually help you save some money and avoid some pretty costly mistakes. So let's just dive right in. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them down below. If you disagree with me, whatever, that's fine. Let me know what you think. The first type of home that I would never want to buy are homes with undisclosed or unmanaged public improvement district assessments. Now, what in the world does that mean? So I'm not throwing shade here because a lot of my clients need to buy in a MUD. They're everywhere, especially in the suburbs, so I get it. MUDs aren't the enemy, but here's the thing. PIDs, those are a different animal. So let me break this down for you. A PID is a special assessment district created by the city or county to fund specific improvements in your neighborhood. We're talking sidewalks, streetlights, landscaping, drainage systems, common area maintenance. Sounds really nice, right? Yeah, but here's the problem. You're paying for it every year, and it can last anywhere from 20 to 40 years. I learned this one the hard way. My house is actually the largest lot in the neighborhood, which sounded great at the beginning until I realized that I was paying the biggest PID assessment. And we didn't find out the full scope of that until we were already at the closing table. So we bought our house as a bank-owned foreclosure, went through a property management company, yada yada, long story. And basically the information was buried. So we got to closing and we were like, okay, well, we don't have anywhere else to go, so I guess we're in. And now if we wanted to sell, not happening until that's paid off. You're asking for problems, you really are. Here's what you need to do to avoid this. Number 1, ask your real estate agent to pull the seller's disclosure. That should tell you if there's a PID, but that document is on the seller's honor system, so it's not a sure thing that it'll show up there. Number 2, check the property tax bill itself. PIDs show up as line items on your tax statement, just like the MUD tax. Number 3, if the property is in a master plan community such as Bridgeland or Harvest Green, odds are there's probably a PID, so ask about it specifically. And here's the thing that kills me. Some agents don't even know where to look for it. Or sometimes the seller doesn't even know about it because they bought from an investor who didn't even bother to explain it. But by Texas law, sellers are supposed to give you a PID notice before you sign the contract. Before, not at closing. If they don't, you can walk away from the deal so long as you do it in time. So do your digging. Houston has 26 PIDs mapped out now on HAR. And most importantly, ask about the assessment timeline. Is it paid off in 5 years, 15, even 30 years? That affects your monthly payment just like property taxes and HOAs do. When you go to sell a home in a PID, that could edge a buyer out because it puts hundreds of dollars of strain on their debt to income ratio. And just like that, your buyer pool got smaller and your resale value just got complicated. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, well, let's move on to number 2. The next type of home that I would never buy are houses that were flipped by LLCs. I don't want to completely throw LLCs under the bus, but these private investors, I get it. You want to get into the real estate business, you want to make money, totally get it. I understand. But in Houston especially, there's a lot of investor activity right now. So a lot of these flippers, and I am seeing this constantly, are just really inexperienced. That or they simply don't care. They're hiring inexperienced, cheap contractors, and they're doing such a poor job on flipping these homes. The biggest red flag for me when I walk through a home that's been flipped is the cosmetic issues. As soon as I see there's issues with the cosmetics, whether it be, say, the moldings are uneven, the paint job was done poorly. Look, even the paint job, I'm sorry, but that's a red flag. Because to me, that just means they're rushing through it. These past couple of years, I've seen a lot of these where the homes are being bought and they're being turned around and flipped quickly because they're just trying to capitalize on the market. And that's their right to do that. But when you do a rush job, you gotta wonder what's going on behind the walls that they neglected to take care of. I would just steer clear of it. And here's how you spot it. You can go to Zillow, it shows you who the owner is. You can also see the history of the sale of the home. So if you see a house was purchased, say 6 months ago at $300,000, and now they're asking $450,000, and you can obviously see that the house has been cosmetically updated, just be very, very careful. Make sure you walk through it in person, and if you see shoddy cosmetic work, and yeah, I know it sounds stupid, but I can guarantee you that the rest of the house is shoddy as well. The shortcuts in the caulking, they took the same shortcuts behind the drywall. That uneven trim tells me that the electrical or the plumbing got some rush treatment. Never buy it, just don't do it. Ask your agent to run a title search to see how many times this house has changed hands in just the last 2 years. Ask for the previous sale price, if there are any inspection reports available, and most importantly, trust your gut. If something feels rushed, it was probably rushed. The next type of home that I would never buy in Houston is a home in a flood zone. And you're saying, yeah, duh, I wouldn't buy in a flood zone, but the reality is we have a lot of flood zone areas in Houston. Just to be specific, I'm talking about the ones that are in a 100-year or a 500-year floodplain. And even if the home's never flooded, I still wouldn't do it because of the insurance. Your average flood insurance is gonna run you anywhere from about $1,700 to $5,000 per year, depending on the location. Now, the average cost in flood insurance in the US, you're looking at like $800 to $900 a year. So that difference adds up. A 100-year flood zone, for example, means that there's a chance that area would flood once every 100 years. But even if the homeowner tells you, oh, it's in a 100-year floodplain, but we've never had water, that doesn't mean it's not gonna happen to you. There is no guarantee. Also, even if a house is not in a flood zone, it still could potentially flood, as some areas have during major hurricanes in the past. And I get it, you may love that house, but I would still be running far away from that house if it's in a flood zone. Now, if you're buying a house near the water, like down in the Bay areas, or maybe the house is on a creek, or you're near major drainage corridors where flooding is a known pattern, that's a major, major risk. And I personally would not be taking that on. The second thing you're not going to see on Zillow, Redfin, or Realtor.com is flood zone designation, at least not a reliable one. You need to ask your real estate agent to check MLS and the National Flood Resources to see if that house is truly in a 100-year or a 500-year floodplain. If it is, I would never buy it. The next type of house I would never buy, homes with over-the-top custom features. You may walk into a house and you see like a huge built-in fish tank, you know, some like 500-gallon fish paradise built into the wall, and you think that is the coolest thing you've ever seen. Or there could be like a secret hideaway room in the house, or maybe it's like a man cave, some super over-the-top man cave with just like all the sports memorabilia you can think of. So say you love the fish tank, and then a few years from now, you're like, yeah, I'm done taking care of fish. I want this gone. Yeah, that's gonna cost you a lot of money to remove it. And then what are you gonna do with that empty space? How are you gonna fill that in? You have to come up with a whole new design to fill that space, or just close off the wall or whatever. None of that to me sounds easy or cheap. Another thing is sometimes these over-the-top custom kitchens can be a problem too. I went and previewed a house for a seller several months ago, and they had this custom kitchen that they were very proud of. They said they spent like almost $300,000 on this custom kitchen. It had mahogany wood, it was very ornate, very beautiful cabinets, but in all honesty, it's not gonna appeal to your average buyer. It may appeal to a very small group of people that would love that look, but don't expect the next person to love it as much as you do. So it might hurt your resale value and your feelings. So just any over-the-top custom things in a house that you know down the road could cost you in the long run, nope, don't buy it. Now the last one, and this one is sneaky, especially in new construction master plan communities, are homes in communities with deferred HOA reserves. Look, I'm not telling you to avoid HOAs. They are everywhere here in Houston. The Woodlands, Conroe, Katy, you literally can't avoid them, and they do a lot of good. But the ones to be careful about are the new communities where the reserves aren't being funded properly. Here's the thing, developers build these new beautiful communities. They manage the HOA for the first few years. Everything looks great, but 5 years in, the real owners take over and suddenly there's no money in the reserves to maintain that pool, the landscaping, or any of the common areas. So what happens? Special assessment. And you, the homeowner, get hit with a bill for 10 grand, 20 grand, sometimes more to fund those reserves that you weren't budgeting for. And your lender definitely wasn't budgeting for them. Before you buy a house in a new master plan community, ask to see the HOA reserve study. Ask if there are any planned special assessments. Ask how long the developer is managing before handing it off to the homeowners. And if they won't give you that information, red flag, don't buy it. Here's a little tip for you to save some time. So if you come across any of these houses and you want more information on them, ask your real estate agent, number one, to see if there's a seller's disclosure on MLS. You can't get those on Zillow. You have to ask the agent to provide that to you. That's going to give you all the history of the home. The homeowners have to answer all these questions as far as the age of the roof goes, the water heater, the HVAC, all the things. It could also tell you if there's any termite damage in the house or past flooding. So review it before you even go and physically look at the house and save yourself the time. I really appreciate you being here today. I hope you found this video valuable, and if you did, be sure to like and subscribe. I do have a free resource for anyone planning to move to Montgomery County here in North Houston. Just grab it down below in the description. I'm Allie Grodsky. I'll see you in the next one.